Keenan Stadium. The study of the Keenan Stadium in Jamshedpur has been undertaken with the premise that structures are a result of processes of production which are in turn governed by multiple complex factors, the examination of which calls for a rethinking of conceiving architecture. There are two paths which this study takes. The first one is the question of production, which analyzes the three different ways in which concrete has been used and what can be understood from such an allocation in the structure. And the second path analyzes the intention of representation, which dwells into comparison of the two cantilevers, the entrance porch and the truss. The study attempts to chronicle the relation of making to representation in an urban context in the 20th century. The methodology here has been to raise questions of effort and intentionality to examine the value of the structure in the larger geographical and historical context. The intention here is to explore these trajectories in relation to the Keenan Stadium in order to extend the research around the various aspects of production, tracing the tangible evidence as well as intangible factors embodied in the built environment. The Keenan Stadium was built in the year 1939 and it was initially called the North Park Ground. It was renamed later after Mr. Keenan, who was the general manager of Tata Steel and played a key role in the early years of the city. The stadium was also a site for major civic gatherings, such as the Air Raid Precautions demonstration in 1941 during World War II. Its capacity to house a large number of people made it an important structure for such purposes other than sports. The structure of the VIP pavilion incorporates some interesting details, some of which were very unique for their time and have been incorporated in the making of the facade facing the road. The stadium exemplifies that there was a great allocation of effort, intellectual and technical, in the making of this facade. By this point in time, some other important public structures such as the market shed and the Tata Main Hospital had already been built in the city, indicating that there was an ability to employ skill and procure material. With this background, the research investigates the structure of the Keenan Stadium to draw its biography. Concrete has been used in three different ways in the structure. Firstly, reinforced cement concrete has been used for the entrance porch. Since the porch is a structurally complex element and it requires materials of high strength to make such a cantilever, reinforced cement concrete has been incorporated. The second, that of the jali, is made of precast cement concrete. This decision seems to be governed by the fact that it would have been possible to make modules under observation and fix them on site later. Thus, it is evident that in both the cases, lime concrete could not have replaced them. In the first, lime concrete would not have replaced because of the requirement of strength, and in the second, because of its property of brittleness. Thus, lime concrete has only been used for the slab at the plinth level and as a covering on the roof slab. These locations do not necessarily need cement concrete. Thus, there was an understanding that cement was more precious and it also had some properties which could not be replaced by lime concrete. This highlights the fact that the specific use of building materials offers an insight in the processes of making, availability of resources, and the underlying economics. Making of the entrance porch. Perhaps the most striking element of the stadium building is the cantilever entrance canopy. Reinforced cement concrete has been used to construct it. The form is wave-like and it has an inclination sloping down towards the surface of the structure. It is supported by 5 cantilever beams which then meet into a larger beam which in turn transfers the load to the columns below. The complicated form of it leads one to ask what kind of formwork would have been used. Considering the mid-20th century, it would be safe to say that wooden formwork would have been used. The making of such a formwork indicates the availability of skilled workmen, and the carpenters were the ones who made formworks back then. This is suggestive of the scenario of the relation of workmanship to the processes of making then. The inverted beams perform structurally to enclose smaller portions of the slab, thus the major reinforcement lies in the inverted beams. Having traced these processes, it becomes apparent that the porch has been ingeniously built and involves a high level of complexity. The 18 feet cantilever span creates a floating effect visually. The long span adds a dimension of depth which further heightens the floating effect. The wave-like form behaves like a shell, providing greater structural stability, and in doing so it creates an undulating effect and the consequent curving shadows reinforce this undulating effect. The porch projects from a larger rectangular frame, and thus there is a contrast in the forms, which creates a new aesthetic in the urban landscape. From the understanding of its making, it seems that great effort and resources had been incorporated. The reason now seems apparent. Firstly, the stadium is a public structure, and thus there is an intention to portray its identity. It was also a site for important civic meetings. Secondly, the entry is a VIP entry, which suggests why a greater effort had been made. The third reason seems to be to showcase the technological prowess and resources which the company was able to employ. Stylistically, the form of the canopy is very similar to that of the canopy at Jahangir Art Gallery in Mumbai, which was built a decade later. The pattern class, that of the Parsis, played a key role in the development of both the cities, Jamshedpur as well as Mumbai. What can be said is that there may have been an exchange of ideas and styles, but further inquiry exploring this connection may uncover a potential tie between the two cities. Making of the precast cement concrete jali. The archival photograph capturing the front facade of the stadium captures a precast cement concrete jali, which is also specified in the archival plan. It is composed of alternating hexagonal patterns. The use of the jali is extensive in terms of its span. It does not seem probable that the jali would have been a singular piece. There would have been a way to manufacture it in modules and then assemble it on site to give it an effect of seamlessness. This can also be observed in the archival drawings of a similar jali made in 1950s in Delhi. If we are to consider the length of a side of a singular hexagon along the center of its thickness, it comes to 10.5 inches. This then becomes the governing factor for the dimensions of the frame it is supported in. Thus, it is highly possible that the exact dimensions and working of the precast jali would have been worked out, and then eventually the dimensions of the rectangular frame would have been calculated. Such a pre-consideration is also evident from the archival images and the conjectured model, where it can be noted that the jali perfectly meets the edges of the frame and the beam supporting the porch, which indicates a great amount of pre-coordination and accuracy. By the end of the first quarter of the 20th century, the use of precast concrete elements has been noted in India. The advantage that precast elements had was that of partially dividing the supervision from on-site construction. For larger commissions of precast concrete elements, temporary workshops were set up on site. This indicates that there was some standardization in the production of these elements by mid 20th century India. In terms of its representation, the span of the precast jali creates an image of magnanimity. It forms the large backdrop of the tapering wave-like form of the entrance porch. The modularity of the perforation creates a seamless effect. The repetition of the hexagons leads to a creation of a pattern which renders the surface a scaleless quality. The presence of the jali would have created a visually impenetrable surface that does not reveal much of the inside. The aesthetics of the facade curate an appearance which hides the structural elements within. The jali thus becomes a skin, concealing the columns. The identity of the surface here is almost independent of the inside. This allows for the possibility of a representation which is not born out of a structural consideration but from an aesthetic consideration. The aesthetic representation owes its characteristics to its own materiality, that is, the material of the skin, the material of the jali. Use of lime concrete. In the stadium, lime concrete has been used for the plinth level slab and as a layer over the top slab. Lime concrete was being parallelly used throughout the country in the mid 20th century. Though the first cement factory was set up in Porbandar in 1914 in the country, the availability of cement remained a question. This led to selective use of cement, and lime concrete was preferred wherever possible. The making of the truss. There are two cantilevers in this structure, the entrance porch on the outside and the inverted truss inside. The trusses cover the sittings in the gallery. The use of truss was not new to Jamshedpur in 1939, since structures with trusses such as the market shed were constructed 2 decades ago, though the type of truss varied. The I-section stanchion supports a gusset plate to which are riveted the struts. These struts are riveted on the other side to the rafters. The purlines rest on these rafters and hold the roofing sheets above. Apart from riveting, bolting has also been used. It has been used on the horizontal surfaces fixing the gusset plate to the stanchion. In terms of the representation of the truss, it is utilitarian. It serves the purpose of covering the area. The repetition of the trusses at regular intervals leads to an aggregate effect. The truss is not visible from the roadside, thus the question of appearance from the outside does not govern the aesthetic representation of the truss. The representation is a result of the structural elements themselves, as can be noted from the archival image as well. The part of the truss which are not hidden visually by the entrance pavilion are covered by another precast cement concrete jali. Though this jali was added later, it only replaced another surface. This decision to curtail the view of the trusses clearly separates the inside from the outside. Questioning the intentionality of representation. Having analyzed the making and representation of both the entrance porch and the truss, discussing the intentionality of both can possibly highlight the distribution of effort in terms of design, technology, and execution. The form of the entrance porch is highly complex and it has been intentionally placed at the center of symmetry of the frame to draw focus. It also acts as a threshold between the outside and the inside, making it a part of the first visual image of the structure that one encounters. The purpose of the truss, though, is to enable a covered space for a spectator to view the stadium pitch. The truss is not an element of focus for the viewer since the visual attention is concentrated on the activities of the stadium pitch. The allocation of funds for the precast jali in the front facade indicates a desire to cover the structural elements such as the beams and the columns. On the other hand, the representation inside is a result of exposing the structural elements, thereby suggesting that there is a clear distribution of design effort. Since the technology incorporated for the entrance porch seems to be ingenious and exceptional, whereas that of the truss seems to have been more familiar, thus a higher technological effort has been employed for the appearance of the front facade. The execution of such a complex form of the entrance porch would have required skilled labor and high degree of supervision. In the case of the trusses, since the making of it would have been familiar by then, lesser execution effort would have been required. The lines of comparison drawn here establish that there was a conscious intention to represent the front of the building in a certain way, and there was a deliberate effort to project its appearance. Looking back, the stadium is an example of how representation is an indicator of intentionality. Decoding the processes of making can be seen as a way of inquiry that uncovers the materiality, skill, and effort allocated to a structure and its various parts. A similar distinction between production and representation has been discussed in surface architecture, where a growing divide between the two in contemporary architecture has been marked to call for a rethinking. The greater availability of different materials and technologies enabled the advent of the free facade. This development often saw a distinct difference in aesthetic appearance from inside and the outside. Thus, the skin of a structure became the site of display, a site of performance. This enables us to discuss the question of value. The value of a structure is ascertained by its representation and use. Though it may not be possible to quantify value as it is subjective, it can be said that there is an understanding in the society that there is a degree of comparison associated with the value of a structure. In the case of public structures such as the stadium, the space is meant for a larger number of people, and the multiplicity of use of the space makes it functionally valuable. This then translates in the design language to an expression that becomes symbolic to the very structure. In this manner, the projected image of the structure comes to represent the structure as a whole in the public eye. Portraying the image of a space through the road-facing facade became a major concern, especially for structures considered valuable in the 20th century. This development is a potential trajectory to explore the relation of buildings to urban settings in the 20th century. Thus, such structures become repositories of its own history and the larger historic context it connects to. Decoding the architectural production enables us to look at buildings as an archive of their own history in order to extend the scholarship which theorizes architectural production. Thank you.